Reverend Ezekiel Fields was born free in 1795. He was born in Virginia and was one of 11 children of the Fields family. And census records show that Ezekiel Fields, he moved to southern Columbus around 1828. He must have been in his late 20s or early 30s around then. He was listed as a day laborer, but was also a circuit rider, meaning he would perform ministry duties in rural churches, so things like marriages, baptisms.
I teach American history to 10th graders at Fort Hays, and as part of that history is African American history.
In the early 1800s, Ohio required free people of color from slave states to be legally registered or they couldn't settle in Ohio. They were required to pay a surety bond of $500, and they also had to have 2 citizens vouch for their character. $500 in 1800 was not exactly easy to come by. It's around $10,000 to $11,000 in today's money.
We've done a lot of community work, bringing students out of the classroom and into the community to bring not only Columbus history alive, but in doing so bring American history alive. Perhaps shedding new light on how they perceive their own community, to realize that it has a deeper, richer history, a deeper, richer past.
In the late 1830s, African American members of the Columbus First Baptist Church separated and formed the Second Baptist Church, and that is where Ezekiel Field became the first minister. That's where he became Reverend Ezekiel Field. The Second Baptist Church at some point split into 2 memberships, and one of those memberships was solely dedicated to carrying out the Underground Railroad.
I am a member of the Franklin County Genealogical and History Society African American Interest Group, and so since 2016, our group had been doing research on African Americans, the pioneers.
This is Wilbur King. He was born in 1866 during the Civil War. His father was a sharpshooter for the Union Army and died in the war.
The myth for African Americans who do research is that we were not included on the census and we were not included in the history books. That's a myth. African Americans are included on census. We may have been underrepresented.
King became a lawyer in 1896. His skills were so widely recognized that the Ohio Supreme Court waived the customary probation period required of new lawyers, meaning he could immediately start practicing law.
We decided to do a walking tour using high school kids, and would they like to help us become public historians? And their response has been very positive and overwhelming.
Clayton Greaves was born in 1855 in Virginia, a slave. Greaves was known as a Buffalo Soldier, a term of respect given to them by native tribes to describe their dark skin, curly hair, and fighting spirit.
And the stories started coming out, and they were varied and they were richer than I could have ever imagined.
The Fort Hays Historical Society is a group of students who really does care about our history. We value all the people in it and we want to learn more.
Next to Poindexter's Lot, there's an important bench which under it has bricks that were saved from the demolition of Poindexter Village. These bricks were laid by Fort Hays students and their teacher Vinely, which is really important because Poindexter Village was the first public housing and was also dedicated by Franklin D. Roosevelt. So one of the things I think that was important to mention is our high schoolers' motivations to do this, because not anyone would go for summer break and then choose to come out here in a hot, sweaty day. I chose to do this because I thought it was interesting. I'm interested in it, but I'm also motivated to learn more about the past, and I'm also motivated to learn about U.S. history more.
Washington Townsend, he was actually the slave of the former president of the United States, Andrew Jackson, and he escaped around the age of 17. He heard about a new university that was being started, which was the Ohio State University, and he applied as the role of custodian, which he got hired to, and he was one of the first 39 people to work at the Ohio State University. He was actually really good close friends with the president of the Ohio State University, and they would often be seen having really deep and meaningful conversations.
The question that we can answer through this project is that African Americans are documented and you can research them And you can get the beauty of their lives in records that they provide. So you can learn about employment, you can learn about through their church histories, you can learn about them through their social networks. And I think in all of the stories that were selected today, those things have been recounted in that way.
At the time that Washington Townsend passed away, the president had already passed away. And as you can see, it's the only grave that's like risen here. And the son felt like it was needed because he was so important to the university to give him this grave, and he had paid for it out of his own pocket.
The earliest burial of an African-American resident in Green Lawn was of Arthur Boke. Stories told he was born January 19th, 1803, and had been left by his mother as a newborn with Sarah Sullivan. His mother was a fugitive slave fleeing capture through the network of the Underground Railroad. Sarah raised baby Arthur with her sons Joseph, William, and Michael.
I was impressed because it takes strength to get up and share. You know, you're in those formative years, you're not sure about that. And it's great exercise to be able to study something and then present it, and to present it from their perspective. They're putting value on their own thoughts and own processes.
No, not at all. William, Lucas's son, he thought of Arthur as a brother. He loved him to death and would do anything for him.
They personalized it and brought the people alive. I think, you know, as a genealogist, that's what we want to happen. And we want the family narratives to be told, but we want them to be told in the context of the setting and the time period. I remember Amir was saying, when she talked about Arthur Boke, she mentioned that William loved him and saw him as a brother. And I think that's the kind of narrative that you want.
Arthur Boke died before Greenlawn was established, and his body was moved to Greenlawn from Pioneer Cemetery, along with Lucas Sullivan and family members.
I think for them to have their eyes opened to asking questions about anything. The important thing about dealing with what I call as difficult history, and that is a branch of history, is maybe not the conclusion you're going to come up with, but it's the questions you ask to get there and the awareness that you'll develop. And that, to me, is really what critical thinking is all about. And that's what we all want our children to be, is critical thinkers.